Nothing ever stops on a homestead, and even with Tropical Storm Ophelia bearing down on us, we still had to get all of our chores done, all of our animals fed. So join us for episode 2 of our weekend recap. This is how it works in a tropical storm. We've got that going on, but we still have work to do here on the farm, so let's get it. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, The Purpose Driven Homestead. Everything on a farm, no matter what it is, has to keep going all the time. Even if there's all kinds of crazy things, like doesn't matter where you're at, you've always got something, right? If you're in the Midwest, you might have tornadoes. If you are in some parts of the West, you might have droughts. You might have all kinds of things, snowstorms. In our case, we've got a lot of things associated with tropical systems, right? And so Tropical Storm Ophelia, it was a tropical storm when it came through, actually hit us over the weekend, and it caused all kinds of challenges. Now you can see the rain is coming down in sheets behind us. There was a little bit of a lull for a little while this thing started passing over us. But it looks like we're starting to get the back side of it now. So we still have work to do today. There's still animals that need to be fed. There's still things that need to be done around the homestead. You cannot take a break even during hurricanes. This one's not that big a deal. Obviously it's just a tropical storm, but there's still work that has to be done unless it's super dangerous. You got to be out here doing work, taking care of the animals first. Obviously things still have to get fed, things have to still get done on a homestead. When you've got things that are depending on you, right, there's just no way to stop that. So in our case,
right. So, you know, there's always timelines for everything. We have a calendar that we have kind of mapped out when we have chicks and, you know, growing them out and processing day. There's whenever you grab animals from a breeder, you have to schedule that and make sure that your housing is set up appropriately. Yeah. So there's a timeline for everything on a homestead. So
and none of it waits. Right, none of it waits.
Right. Even if there is some sort of storm that rolls through, you may be outside in weather conditions like we were this weekend, trying to make it all happen.
So no matter what, you still have to get it done because things depend on you. So even though the tropical storm wasn't quite as bad as we thought it was going to be, it actually came in and they were predicting, you know, to be a little bit worse, I think, than it was. But we did still lose power. And that's a total bummer, just so you know. Whenever you lose power, I know you guys know this, right? So wherever you live at, I'm sure you lose power from time to time. It's a minor inconvenience when it goes off and it blips and you got to go and reset clocks or you got to go do this or that. But it's, I think, a little bit more of a big deal when you lose it for, I think we had it, how long was it that we lost?
I think it was almost all day, right?
Yeah, it was like 12 hours, I think, really close to 12 hours or so, maybe a little more than that.
It was kind of hard to, you know, keep track of it because we were outside most of the time taking care of everything, so...
Yeah, so it definitely was more than a small inconvenience. But the good news is that we were prepared for that. So we had two things going on. So we you know, I'd like to think that we're a little bit more of like a prepping type of family. And so we try to be as prepared as we can be within reason.
It's important because you never know what kind of emergency may come up. Definitely preparedness is important, especially when you're on a homestead, because animals still need to be fed, like we said, and you know, they depend on us. So
and you don't, it's not like you live right next door to something, right? So when you're out and about, so I'm not going to say we're way out in the boonies, but I do tell people that we have to pipe in sunshine. So it really is, you know, it does feel like we're a little bit further out, definitely further out than we were when we were in the Midwest. We were within driving distance of almost anything within a short time. And so now it's just a little bit further. So we needed to make sure that we had all kinds of stuff on hand. And in this case, we had generators. Now the generators are a fantastic thing. Now we have two different types of generators. We have a regular standard generator that we use. We actually upgraded and have a slightly newer one now that is nice. It's a quieter one, a Predator generator, but we have a Generac generator as well.
It's nice though that we have, you know, two, because we have one out at the barn and we don't have electricity out in the barn. So it's kind of nice to be able to use our tools and then have one at the house as well. So, you know, it's still in use and those are great tools to have on hand.
Yeah, and you know, we still got, trust me, we've got all kinds of videos that are coming out probably this winter when I have a little bit of time on my hands, but I'm going to be working on the barn. Right now it has no power at all, so everything, when I go out there to get a tool or when she runs out there to grab a tool for something that she's working on, there's no power. And so you're like rooting around with headlamps even during the middle of the day. It's just kind of a hassle, but that's something we're going to work on. But we've got the generator out there when we need it. We've got the generator up at the house, and so we ran off of that as well. But that was constantly, we were moving things back and forth. So, you know, one of the little homesteader tip here, right? Make sure that even though you may have a generator, make sure you've got enough power cords, because unless you're going to backfeed it, which by the way, in a lot of places isn't appropriate, you're not supposed to do that. So We're not advocating for that. Don't run out and do that. But some people will back feed their panel. Again, that may not be exactly right where you're at, especially by code, but if you do that, that's your business. But in a lot of cases, like in ours, we were running electrical cords inside the house. So you got to have a lot of those. Think about it. If you've got 2 or 3 freezers, or if you've got a refrigerator, a freezer, anything you need to run, you've got to be able to run that off electrical cords, and those are coming in and out of your house. So you got to make sure you have enough of those on hand, so when something strikes, like a hurricane or a snowstorm, you can fire those things up and be ready to go, so that you don't lose any of the food in your refrigerator. Now, the other thing that we did to try to minimize on that is we have a Blue Eddy generator. Now, if you haven't seen our video, I did a video a while back when we still lived in the Midwest about our Blue Eddy generator. Love that thing. I'll put a link in the description below that will take you directly to that video, or you can just check on our, on our page, on our YouTube page. We actually have all of that. We're both on Rumble and YouTube. All of our videos are out there. So if you want to go back and check that one out, I give kind of all the details about the Blue Eddy generator, but that was over a year ago, and that thing is still running great. We love having that Blue Eddy because all I did was on the inside, I was able to fire some stuff up. We were able to charge our cell phones, all of that by the push of a button. No sound, no big loud generator, nothing. And so having the Blue Eddy was awesome. I really, really highly recommend getting one. Again, you can find that link to that video in the description below, but I mean, that thing's been a game changer.
We have extra batteries on it. We didn't even use half of what they need, what we had available to us.
It didn't touch it, yeah. It barely made a dent in it. Plus, you can charge it via solar. So in our case, right after the tropical storm came through, the sun was out in a limited fashion, the next day or 2 days later. So you can actually recharge your Blue Eddy off of solar panels, which is great. Even if the power doesn't come on for a couple of days, you can regenerate some of that electricity that you're using during the day and power the Blue Eddy. So it's a really nice tool to have. Now, not only is it a good idea to make sure you have your generator ready to go, but the other thing is you got to have those power cords. That was tip number 1, right? The other thing is you got to make sure that you have gas. I know this seems absolutely ridiculous to have to say, but we've actually caught ourselves a couple of times making the mistake of thinking that we had gas ready to go, going and looking, and there you have it. The generator is maybe half full and you don't have any more gas left over. That is a bad predicament to be in, especially if you don't live near town. If you've got to try to get in, the roads are closed, maybe there's trees that have blown over the road, you don't want to be in a situation where if you need gas to run your generator to have power and you don't have it. So that's tip number 2. Make sure that you have full tanks of gas on your vehicles, make sure you have all of your generators full, and also make sure you have some gas cans.
All right, so we're not here to tell you that we are perfect and we have it all together, because we definitely don't, and we definitely had some fails in this storm. So we had our gas cans and our generator, and we were thinking we're doing great, but then it came mealtime and we had no way to cook our food, which is an important thing when you're trying to feed a family, right? So we just recently moved. I think everybody knows that by now, and we have a lot of our stuff still in our shipping container. It's in boxes and we can't find anything, basically. We still need to go through a lot of boxes. We have not prioritized finding our induction hot plate in the shipping container, and that is definitely something that was a fail, and we definitely needed that this time. We had no way to cook food. We have some birch trees on our property that we probably could have taken some of the wood and made a campfire, because that is, you're able to burn that in the rain. We could have had a nice campfire by the pond and had our Dutch oven available for us. That too was in a box, by the way. So, we had no way to cook our food. So that's a huge thing, especially when you have a family of 6 that you need to feed. We had some family nearby that came and brought us some food, which was extremely generous and so thoughtful of them. And without them, we probably would have been in quite the pickle in order to, feed our family. So that was a miss on our part. All right, so emergency preparedness was obviously a big thing on our list this weekend, but now we're going to share about what we did with our rabbits. So our rabbits we bred them.
We think so. We think we bred them.
Right.
It's getting close to the time frame, right? But we're not sure. We had a couple of fall offs, which is typically how you tell. I mean, sure, you can take them to the vet and have an ultrasound, or you could just, wait around about 30 days or about 18. No, they're about 30 days. Yeah.
Right. And what we've found is during the summertime, I feel like they are not as interested in breeding. Yeah. And so we kind of had a hard time. So hopefully we have kids here soon. We had one of our does on pasture, and we actually brought her in. We set set up our cage, we added her nesting box with all of the hay and some cedar chips so that she has that in there.
So the way we've got our nesting boxes set up is we've got a layer of wire at the very bottom, and then we lay some cedar chips on bottom of that just to keep it, kind of absorbent, make it absorb underneath it. And then we put hay, and so that allows them to make their own nesting box, but the moisture can kind of fall through, and also the bottom, it allows air movement to kind of come on the bottom side of the cedar chips, so that keeps them a little drier, generally speaking, because once they have their babies, they're in there for a few weeks while the babies develop, right? So the kits are going to kind of develop, and then they'll start hopping out. Then you can take the nesting box out. So we're kind of busy doing all that, and it's really cool, by the way, to see these guys make their nests in the nesting box. You see them with
pull their hair,
and pull their hair, and have the stuff in their mouth. I always think it's really cool because they'll take the hay, and it looks like they've got hay for 3 weeks sitting in their mouth like a chipmunk or something. But
right. They also have, if you cannot make your own nesting box like we did with the bottom, obviously we prefer that over, just because of what he just said, how the cedar chips can stay dry. But they also have some pre-made nesting boxes available at some stores. We went ahead and just picked one up the other day because we just were in a hurry.
You can get them at any pet supply store. Typically will have them. You can get them from farm supply stores, whatever's close to you.
Right. So we utilized one of those just because we didn't have another one on hand. But we have 2 does that are expected to have kits here in just about a week or so. And so we're looking for some kits.
Pretty excited. And we still had to work on this all the way. That's why it was such a priority to get this done. Even during that weekend where we had all this rain, right? We still had to get this stuff done because there's a timeline. There's a timeline like everything, like she mentioned earlier, right? That's not going to wait. And I still work during the week, and she's homeschooling our kids, and so there's only so much time. So in the weekends, we try to hit the stuff hard. So that was a big thing we had to get done to try to get all the things situated and in motion for these rabbits.
Right. And so the last weekend recap, we talked about how we got new rabbits on our farm, but we also got new hutches too. And since we kind of ran out of time, it was really dark when we got home, and so we just kind of put them in their spot right where the other rabbits are. But we actually needed to put them in the ground, especially because of all the high winds and stuff with the tropical storm.
We weren't sure what it was going to do. We weren't sure how strong the winds were going to be. And we were in the Midwest. We actually had one of these hutches partially blow over. Luckily, nothing was hurt, but we had some really strong, and as you guys, if anybody lives in the Midwest, drop a comment if you've had some of these, high straight line winds come through in the Midwest. But where we were at in Ohio, we had a big storm come through, and it wasn't uncommon to get 60 mile per hour gusts, 70 mile per hour gusts come through, and it actually pushed them over. So we decided at that point we definitely needed to bury those things deeper in the ground. And so that's what we want to do here.
Right. Yeah, so we got that done too. Silver fox normally have about 4 to 5 kits per kindling, and so we're expecting to have about 8 to 10 grow outs for the season that is remaining. And so we're going to go ahead and grow them out in our new tractor here that we got last weekend, and then some other tractors that we have here on our homestead as well. So they're going to use as much pasture as we possibly can. It normally takes about 4 months to grow out some fryers, and so they're going to run on pasture for as long as we possibly can. It is fall right now, and we have quite a bit of grass still. None of it's dying off, so they'll have plenty of grass for quite some time. We'll probably have to put them in the hutches when it becomes like winter time, when it gets super cold. But we'll go ahead and do processing throughout the winter time. That way we can go ahead and fill our freezer with some more pasture-raised meat on our homestead.
Now, if you guys notice behind me, we're already doing some big work to this hog shelter. We've got a whole video that's going to come out about how we're continuing to drive this thing kind of forward. It's not an easy task, right? There's a lot of work involved here. There's a lot of planning, just trying to do different things. But that weekend, we figured we'd take advantage of the fact that it was raining, the wind was blowing. We got everybody inside of this shelter. We actually got the whole family. We used shovels and brooms and even a blower, but we were able to try to clean a lot of this stuff out. This had been a collection spot in a lot of ways. It had really been a space where people had just put things in there. It was out of the weather. It was an easy place for them to use so that they could say, all right, I'm going to get to this thing later. I'm going to get to this thing later. I'm going to get to this thing later. The reality was, just like normal people, they never got to the things later. So it had become kind of a dumping ground, again, for stuff that we think there might be some value in at some point. We had to clean all that out. There was actually some wood in there that at some point, I'm assuming was actually really good wood, but the termites had gotten into it. The way it was sitting on that pad back there, it literally turned to dust. When we were shoveling in there, we actually saw termites when we were shoveling the wood out, but it was stacked up planks and planks and planks of wood that just disintegrated when you stepped on it or when you used the blower. I was blowing sawdust away, and the wood just was it was like blowing sand. There was nothing to it. And so the termites, we got those out of there. The good news is these are all treated posts that were used in the ground, so they're actually in really, really good shape. You can see that I've already torn off some of the sides. We have more work that still needs to be done, but the clean out was a big thing. In addition to getting the shelter cleaned up, we also went and picked up hay. That was one of the things we absolutely need because we're going to have Idaho pasture pigs, and in order to get them out on pasture, we've got beans that are growing out in this field right now. They're not going to be picked probably until late October, maybe early November. They're starting to turn yellow now, and it's actually amazing to see the process where they were green before, and I might even lay a little bit of footage in right here, but they were green when we first started out, and they've turned to like a golden yellow color now, and soon they'll all be brown. All the leaves will be gone off of them, and once the farmer picks all of the beans out of there, we're going to then start planting and start the process of getting that space worked into a pasture. But until then, these pigs are going to need something to eat. So in addition to regular food, we're going to also be giving them pasture, and that's going to be in the form of hay. So now obviously we don't have any hay that's on our property, nor does any of the neighbors by us have any hay. It's just not a thing that people grow. This is all crop farming in our area. Almost no one raises animals anymore, so there's just a really big shortage of hay where we live. So we had to drive a little bit, but we did find a farmer on a marketplace. And again, back to last week's tip, make sure that you have some way to stay connected with local people, local farmers in the area, creating that community, because those are people that you can rely on, you can get hay from. Like in this case, we actually talked to the farmer about what was sprayed on it, what wasn't sprayed on it, and we were able to find someone that even though it wasn't exactly a perfect match, in a perfect world, we'd rather there be nothing sprayed on it. But in this case, they hadn't sprayed any glyphosate on it, and it only had some nitrogen earlier in the year as a fertilizer to kind of give it a boost. And so he shared a similar kind of view as we do. He really didn't want to use glyphosate on his stuff as well. And so we really feel great about the fact that it's been a few years since he used any of that, and now we're going to be feeding that to our pigs. So stay in touch with local farmers, learn who has similar views to you. Doesn't mean that there's a problem with their view, but it means if you find someone that shares your views, you may be able to leverage them, do business with them, help them out, but they can also help you out. And so we've got a whole big trailer full of it. We took our 16-foot trailer, got it filled up with enough hay to hopefully last us for a while with our pigs. But that's one of the things we also had to get done, because before we can get the pigs in here, we had to get that hay.
All right, now my husband wants me to say that I am the resident deal hunter, but really I'm a trash picker. I am a trash picker. When we are driving down the road, I am constantly looking at every house to make sure that there is nothing out there that I can't grab. Obviously I look for some quality things and something that we actually have to have, because I don't want to be a big hoarder and have everything that people are putting out on the side of the road. But I am constantly looking for deals at thrift stores, something that someone is giving away, some sales on the side of the road, some garage sales. That is all me. Homesteader tip of the week. I'm saying all of this to say
we got a gate. We actually got quite a few of these. We found this gate at as she said, it was on the side of the road, but this one was for sale. And we went up and talked to the gentleman, and come to find out, he was actually, again, this is back to my earlier comment, you've got to connect with your community. That means your local community. If I can get anything across to you, buy local where you can. I get it. I don't grow aluminum foil. You're gonna have to go buy that from the store. You're not gonna find a farmer that you can get aluminum foil from. But what you can do is look for things like this. This is a gentleman, he was 80 years old, he said. He's turning 80 this year.
Raising horses, right?
Yeah, he was raising horses. And he had all these gates. He actually trained horses in, I'd call it a backyard. He didn't have probably a half acre there in the back of his house where he was doing it, but he apparently had trained horses, and he had all these gates that were left over. And so he had this one and another aluminum gate that was sitting on the side of the road for next to nothing. They're a little rusty, but for our purposes, it's gonna work out great, because you know where this gate's gonna go? it fits exactly
Right here.
right here. No joke, this gate is exactly the right measurement for this. So we're gonna use boards on that side, and again, we're gonna show you all that in the rehab video that we're gonna do later, but this gate is gonna be a cornerstone because it's gonna help us. We're gonna put some mesh on the other side of here to make it just a little bit more predator proof and make sure that small piggies can't get out later on when we use this for farrowing. But this gate was awesome. It was a fantastic find.
We were trying to figure out how in the world, like, we wanted the gate to set up, and then
Right.
we found this, and it's just amazing how that works. And
Hand of Providence right there.
definitely need, yes, absolutely, and definitely need to keep your eyes peeled for good
so,
deals like this.
So we were able to find this. It was a good deal for him. He got a little bit of cash out of it. It worked out great for us because if you go and look at these at farm improvement stores, take a Tractor Supply, go to a Mize or whatever yours is, Rural King, these gates go for like $250. This smaller one's probably about $175. So it was a great deal for us, a great deal for him. We were super excited to get it.
Yes.
So trash picking goes for the win again.
The last thing we did this weekend was went and bought some new coolers, right? So we have chicken processing coming up in the next couple weeks.
Getting close to that 10-week mark.
10-week mark, yes. And if you have not seen, we do have a video on chicken processing, the whole part of it that we did in our last homestead.
Yeah, start to finish. It shows all the different steps, kind of the Joel Salatin way, I think,
right,
of how to do it. And
so it'll definitely show you like all the instructions, and we did that last time.
We go step by step, just because I feel like a lot of people don't know how to butcher a chicken. And, you know, when you're just going through that process, it's not for the squeamish. I mean, you know, if you don't want to process a chicken, maybe don't watch it. But if you're looking for step-by-step instructions, I think it's, well, I like it. I think it's awesome. So
we went and got coolers. We actually got 2 different coolers, and we're going to test them out because one of them was way more expensive than the other. We got an Igloo, and then we got
Lifetime.
A Lifetime. So
it better last a lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. It has a warranty that says that it's a lifetime, but
it's guaranteed not to rust, bust, or collect dust, just so you know.
Yes, but we want to test them out to see which ones are going to last longer. Right. Obviously, when you're processing a lot of chickens like we are, you want to make sure that you're able to keep them cool, and so the cooler space was definitely important to us. So we went and got more coolers, and we'll be setting up in the coming weeks, making sure that we get everything from our shipping container out of boxes, and making sure that we have everything that we need to go ahead and make that happen.
We got killing cones, the whole 9 yards. And by the way, again, go back and watch that video. I'll link it in the description. I'll also probably drop a card up here just to make it easier if you want to jump over there. Watch that after this video though, right? So, but come back and you can catch that video. But we actually have makeshift killing cones that we made out of just regular row cones.
Safety cone.
Yeah, it's so much easier. They're plastic, they don't ever rust. So I think there's some ways that you can save some money there for sure. But you have to chill these things down, because if you try to put them all into your freezer right away, if you know, while they're still warm, it's going to mess with your freezer big time. Things are going to run constantly, and it's going to take days and days and days. So we're going to have one cooler that's basically the water at tap temperature, right? So it's probably around 65, 70 degrees. It's going to be coming there, getting them cooled down first. Then they're going to go into these bigger coolers that we got, and that's where the ice chests are going to be, basically to cool these down even further so that we can then get them into our freezer. We'll shrink bag wrap them and put them in our freezer. All that's going to be probably in another either full video or maybe a weekend recap. I don't know, we'll show you, but that's coming up, and we definitely wanted to get these in there because we got 60 birds in this one batch, right? Birds. And didn't we just if you didn't see, we just made some more tractors for our poultry here on our homestead, and we needed to make room for chicks that we had. We had chicks, 3-week-old chicks that needed to go out on pasture. So they're all on pasture now, and so we're going to do this processing of 60 chickens, and then we have another 60 chickens around November timeframe, I believe it is. So it's like succession planning, right? So you want to make sure that, I mean, if you're eating chicken all the time, you want to make sure you've got chickens to replace the chickens you're eating, right? So there's a whole process to it. We're here to help, right? So we're going to show you all the details around that and how to do it, and hopefully it'll help you along the way. All right, with that, guys, I think we are going to sign off for the day. We've got chores that need to be done.
I'm sure you've heard the entire time. We have ducks quacking at us and ready to be fed. So.
And the rabbits are a lot quieter, but they want to be fed too.
Right.
So, yeah, we've got more stuff that we need to get done so that we can make more of these videos for you guys. If you've enjoyed the video today, guys, please click that subscribe button. Give it a big thumbs up. It helps us more than you can possibly imagine, guys. But until next time, God bless.
Have a blessed day.
And we'll see you next time
on the Purpose Driven Homestead.